Yeah, good afternoon. Today's webinar is about soil improvement. It's all about soil management, and it's about making soil healthy. Uh, it is a follow-up webinar where we are looking at soil, the management of soil, and how we can make the soil healthy. Looking to the previous webinars, we talked about soil management and talking about erosion, talked about how we can improve soils, preparation of soils to make your garden. And by now, I assume your garden is flourishing with vegetables. And this is just an additional webinar to strengthen the management of soil and how you can have better crops, health crops to feed you and your family. So basically, the approach on permaculture is about it focuses on the building a health soil. Whenever we focus on building health soil, then you have health plants and health animals and health people. If we cannot uh, concentrate or focus in growing, in supporting the soil or providing the microbes that are required by the soil, then at the end of the day, our crops are not happy. Our crops are not healthy enough. For example, you see on the left here of these photos uh, on the screen, you see the left photo indicates the modern, what they call the modern farming, but the industrial agricultural farming, where they clear everything on the piece of land. And after clearing, they grow crops using synthetic chemicals or fertilizers, pesticides to grow their crops. After harvesting, the land is left naked, bare. And the impact on this is that you are building up carbon, carbon dioxide that goes into the atmosphere. And when it goes into atmosphere, it causes the ozone layer. And with this heat wave we are having in the current seasons or this era of 21st century, you find out that there is a lot of heat wave that is coming through, and it's killing number of plants, number of organisms, microorganisms, and the carbon is released into the atmosphere and affect the temperatures, the climates, and it affects the atmosphere. And at the end of the day, we cry that we do not receive enough rain and we have too much heat on the earth. It is us who is causing that because we are not taking care of the soil. But looking on the right side, this is my farm in Zimbabwe, where we practice the making sure that when we are growing crops, we cover the ground. And the ground, you cannot see it. And once you do that, you are building the microbes, you are building healthy soil, and you are sequestrating carbon. You are taking carbon back into the soil. And when the carbon is trapped, when a plant is breathing, it attracts many gases, but it takes carbon down into the soil. And then when it's in the soil, it builds up with the microbes and it's banked there. It cannot come again. It helps now with the other microbes, minerals that are in the soil to decompose all the organic matter. And hence, it feeds bacteria and it feeds fungus that are in the soil. And that's why when you have a piece of land like this on the right, you after harvesting, you start seeing mushroom coming up. And it's because the carbon has been deposited into the soil. And it helps the fungus and the bacteria in the soil to regenerate. And once that regenerates, it supports the ecosystem as a whole. And once that ecosystem as a whole is supported, then plants can grow, can start to develop or start to be happy on the piece of land. And this is what we are aiming to do, that in your gardens, whatever you are doing, it can be a small piece of garden. Try to make sure that the land is taken care of. If you do not take care of the soil, then at the end of the day, you do not have healthy plants. You end up pumping a lot of chemicals into the soil, and at the end of the day, you do not produce enough, or you do not develop good wealth around the farming systems. So the microbes in the soil, they are exactly the beneficial elements that we need to create. So step by step, I'm going to share with you how you can create these microbes, how you can also develop good soil through the methods that we mentioned earlier, some of them. So when we are talking about soil, there are soils that are dead, like the one I showed you on the previous slide. And there is soils that are alive. Like in my garden, you can see just I can pull soil from my garden, and you see the soil is actually clear. You can see the soil from my garden that is a rich soil, and it is a soil that is good with lots of earthworms in it and lots of insects, lots of uh, microbes. There are so small things that are walking there, that are moving in there. I don't really know some of them. You need a microscope to check what it is all about. But the most important thing, if it's a dead soil, you won't see these small animals walking or moving into the soil. You'll see dead soil. You'll see just the soil without any other microbes or any other insects in there. So as you see, check your soil at home. Do you have a poor soil or live soil? So poor, it indicates that if you have a poor soil, it indicates it has poor growth and low productivity of crops, less microorganisms, low nutrients. And by low nutrients, you can easily see by your plants, the plants in your garden, like here, I have nice plants that are in the garden here, they are looking lovely. It means the soil has been fed. Dry and easy eroded soil. If the soil after rain or during rain, you see the soil moving out or topsoil is eroded, it means your soil is not good. And something is wrong with the soil. And something is wrong with the person who is practicing the farming on the ground. The soil should be managed properly so that there is no erosion. Dust is one of the cause of cancer, cause of tuberculosis, bronchitis, because once you breathe in dust, it affects your lungs. It's not good for the respiratory systems. So where do you get dust? Where is dust coming from? If dust is coming from within your farm, within your homestead, repair it. How do you repair? Is to make sure that you cover the ground, you plant trees, you plant vegetation there, crops, any type of crops you require. And once you do that, then you do not have dust. So if your soil is indicating dust, it means it's a poor soil. And it means it's bare soil. It's a soil that is sitting in the field and the sunlight is scorching on it. And it is not good soil that we are here preaching about. We are trying to say the soil we have, it has to be covered. But how do we cover it? It is us who have to cover the soil and making sure that the soil is protected from the uh, erosion and the impact of the climate change. Um, Water stagnating. If you see after rain, water is sitting and it's not infiltrating properly in the ground, it means the soil is not good. It is the soil that is it's creating what you call cracks on the top. And after water evaporates, the soil left behind its cracks, and it means that it has lots of salt now that are accumulated there, and then the soil has evaporated, and the soil, the water is evaporated. The soil is left with cracks, and the bottom of that layer of the soil, it's hard. So water cannot infiltrate easy into the ground. And when water is not infiltrating easy into the ground, it means that your soil is not good. So you need to make sure that you add a lot of organic matter and plant trees, and the organic matter traps the water and slowly release the water into the ground, and the trees roots cracks the soil and allow the water, rainwater, to infiltrate and follow the roots of the plants you have in the field. Then you won't see water stagnating on the surface, and that helps in the healing of the soil. So a good soil, you'll find out that there's lots of nutrients, different kind of nutrients that a plant requires. How do we know that this plant has a lot of nutrients or this soil has a lot of nutrients? It means that a happy plant, growing a happy plant, it's like growing your own child. A happy child means she is healthy, or a happy child, you see, she can play around, she can dance, she can do, she is a happy child. And a plant also, comparing a plant and a person is the same. A plant has to show happiness, but how can it show happiness if you cannot feed it with the right food? Even your child, if she cannot get the right food, she can develop kwashiorkor, she can develop disease, she is weak, she is the same with a plant. If a plant doesn't get nutrients, it's weak. It doesn't look nice, doesn't look beautiful. The flowers are also weak, and everything is weak on a plant. And when you eat it, you are not eating good nutrients for your body. You are eating weak nutrients. And some of those plants can even cause diseases or illness to the people. Dark in color, when the soils are dark in color, usually it means the soil is rich in nutrients. I'm giving you an example again of my garden. I'm just pulling soil from my garden, and hope you see this. And this, it means it's a rich soil, it's not poor soil, because it has lots of small pieces of wood, pieces of grass, pieces of leaves, and all this, it's decomposing to make the soil rich and to make the nutrients that a plant requires. High organic matter, of course, when the color of a soil is dark, not dark because it's in alluvial soils, or it's dark because it's the nature, general nature of the soil is dark, but it's dark with a lot of biomass in it, lots of small sticks, small leaves, small uh, organic matter in it. That means the soil is rich with the organic content. It is able to hold water. It is also has a lot of microorganisms like earthworms. And when it has lots of organisms like earthworms, the earthworms, they do the work for us. They take the topsoil, they put it down into uh, they take the top organic matter, they push it down into the ground. Also, oxygen is there in the soil. You have a lot of oxygen and carbon in the soil, carbon dioxide in the soil, and it helps some of these plants to grow well. And this is what we require to do most of the time when we are practicing a good farming. Let's take the organic matter back into the soil. It helps to sequestrate carbon, pushes the carbon into the soil, trap it in the atmosphere, and push it into the soil. And then we do not have challenges on the atmosphere. And covered soil and high water infiltration. You'll see that a good soil is always covered. If you do not cover the soil, then water cannot infiltrate. So it's important to consider that. So going back to what we discussed last time, we talked about methods to create soil microbes or soil improvement. So these methods are always there when we are talking about farming. If you do not look back on these activities, then you might have a challenge of growing food on your farm. Cover ground, it all means that the dry matter, organic matter, are laid on the ground and as mulch, and this they decompose and provide manure on the ground. And this can be in the form of green manure, or it can be in form of green creeping plants. It can be in form of dry leaves or dry uh, grass that you can apply on the ground. This is a blanket of the soil, and it's always promoted to to grow to put this blanket so that you grow your plants. Make own biofertilizers. Try to organize and make biofertilizers. The biofertilizer, bokashi and other type of fertilizers for organic fertilizers are easy to make. For example, here I have kitchen waste, and this kitchen waste, what I do, I collect it and put it in a bigger bucket. But the most important thing, I add earthworms in the container, and this earthworms helps. You can see this is the earthworms, and these earthworms, they help in decomposing this matter and into good soil like this one. It's now good soil that is coming from the other container. So we keep on collecting all the waste from the kitchen, waste from the garden, the sweepings, and put in a bigger bucket, and then you do earthworm farming in there. We also practice zero tillage, where you don't need to dig all the time on the farm. You can practice sheet mulching. Sheet mulching is umbeda umavila nesiswati, which means you don't need to dig, you don't need to sweat to dig the soil, but you just need to lay cut boxes. You add a little bit of animal manure, you put mulch on top, and that's it. And then you plant the crop you wish to. Farm alley cropping system. The alley cropping system, I mentioned it last time. It's when you plant crops in lines, and you have two lines of maize here. It can be 2 meters long or 20 meters long, doesn't matter. And then two lines of beans, two lines of sunflower, two lines of groundnuts, and two lines of, and it can be as long as a kilometer, that doesn't matter. But the method helps you to do crop rotation, and it helps you to improve the soils. So it is important to practice some of those technologies for improving the soil. We talked about trench beds and pit beds for specific crops. So it is important to consider what you can do to improve the soil and what method can you apply to improve the soil in your garden. So when you improve the soil, the most important thing we are trying to address here is to improve the nutrients of the soil. And the nutrients of the soil are considered in different forms, and there are all wide varieties of them, wide types of them. There are nutrients like nitrogen or minerals like nitrogen that are important for the growth of a plant. So they should be available into the soil. But if you cannot promote the microbes, if you cannot develop the organic matter in the soil, these nutrients, as you see on the left here, all these nutrients, you won't find them in the garden. You won't find them for the plants. You will see plants starting to get these challenges on the second column. You see plants starting getting all these challenges. And when they get these challenges, it means it's deficient of certain nutrients in the soil. So how do you build it? You see in this column, you indicate we indicate that you can improve this all the nutrients that are required through these methods. But basically, the method that is easy and that is more important in improving the soil, it's making your own compost, making your own bokashi, making your own liquid manure, making your own earthworm farming. So these few examples that I have shared with you, I'm going to go deeper in detail on how you can improve, how you can make them, and how you can have them on your farm. how you make them, how you can develop them on your farm, and how you can use them. So it is important that you make sure that your garden, your farm is having all these examples that we put across on the right column, or you focus in developing or growing, developing a compost heap, or you are focusing on bokashi, or focusing on fermented animal manure, which is liquid manure, or green manure cover crop system, which I will explain as well. So it is important that you have a focus on improving the soil. And improving the soil means you are bringing microbes into the soil. Microbes are there now to activate and support the fungus and bacteria of the soil. Once that is supported, it helps in the sequestration of carbon into the soil. And then we do not have the challenges of climate change in our areas. We have mitigation measures, or we have adaptation measures to make sure that we cushion ourselves. We cushion ourselves during the time of crisis, especially in this crisis of climate change. So it is us who can cushion these challenges by practicing the right way of farming. At a small garden or on a bigger farm, it is all the same. How you take care of the soil, it will take care of you. If you ignore soils, then it cannot take care of you at the end of the day. Nature needs to be taken care of so that it takes care of us. Looking at my garden, this is my backyard garden in Gauteng, the small portion of my garden. The other, it's the garden, it's a little bit bigger in total. But looking at this garden, you can see that there are several plants that you see there. And you can't see the soil. The soil is covered. You can only see soil at the background where we are not working here, where we have a heap of rubbles and other things. But here, starting where the crops are, you can't see the soil. The soil is covered. You see mulch here, it's covered. And the planting is dense. You see beans here as a nitrogen fixer, and you see maize here. You see on the other line we have the mustard, and at the background there we have what you call the cover. But you see, if you cross over, you have spinach and the line of maize and rocket, and the mixture is properly designed in a way that it supports the soils. The soil itself, it has to be managed in a way that it provides good health plants. So these nutrients are mainly found in a well-decomposed organic matter. And well-decomposed organic matter, it only goes through a compost system, or animal manure that goes into liquid manure, kitchen waste management that goes into earthworm farming, sweepings from the house, from around the house, it goes into earthworm farming or into a compost bins. So it is not the problem of the soil of the crop that we are growing, but it's a problem of the person who is taking care of this land, or who is the land user for growing food. So any crop that grows weak, it means someone is not taking care of the soil. So this is on my farm again, Midrand, where all the waste that are on the farm we collect and put them in a compost. This is the first stage. The first stage is actually that one is the second stage, then this is the third stage. So the first stage, you take all raw materials, like you take grass, like this dry grass, you put a layer of 20 centimeter thick, and then you take a layer of 5 centimeters of animal manure you put on top. And as you put manure, then you sprinkle water. The manure we are talking about, chicken manure, goat manure, horse manure, donkey manure, or cattle manure. You put a layer of 5 centimeters. The dry matter, it's grass and leaves. We call it carbon. And the manure we are talking about, we call it nitrogen. So the ratio of 1:4 or 1:5 ratio of carbon and nitrogen, that's the one we use to build the compost. After manure, you sprinkle wood ash. If you make fire in your area, so keep the wood ash separate, and then you can add that into the compost. Or some they call it biochar, which is the burning of it's like charcoal. That charcoal you can sprinkle a bit into the compost. After that, you put green matter like comfrey, uh, like lucerne, like spinach leaves, anything that is green, or weeds like amaranthus, like blackjack, like that are growing in your farm. Cut them back and use them into the compost. After that, then you take the 20 centimeter or 25 centimeter again of dry grass you put on top and sprinkle water, and then you continue the same process until you finished making the compost. After 2 weeks, you turn the compost, and in this case, we turn the compost into this bin box, into this compost box. After another 2 weeks, we turn this into here. And within here now, we are separating the big twigs and the soft compost. So the big twigs that are found in there, we put them back into other new compost. The soft one, we use it into the garden. So you can see here, I have over 20 cubic of compost here, 20 cubic meter of compost here. Because our drum here, from here to go down, is about 2 meters. And going this way is about 2.5 meters. And on the other side also it's about 2.5 meters. So if you calculate, it will give you a good answer to see how many cubic meters do we have here. Plus, you see it goes high up this heap. It shows that we have a lot of compost for our garden. So we do not go to the shops to buy fertilizer. Here's our fertilizer company, and anyone can do this type of fertilizer companies, a small or mini fertilizer company. I can process this, clean it nicely, and then package, put in pockets, and sell this fertilizer or biofertilizer. And then I generate income out of it. So this is the food for the microbes, or this is the food for microorganisms. So having this in place, it means that you are able to feed any plant. Any plant can grow within this environment of soil, or the soil that is fed by this compost. So as you do that, you are also encouraging earthworms to come through. And earthworms, naturally, if you go to a forest, a good forest with a good ecosystem, you'll find out that the food web there, it's well connected, it's well developed. And the earthworms are the main pillar in that food web that is there in an ecosystem. Because everything that you find growing or happy in that forest, it means that there is happy soil. And this happy soil is being created by the earthworms. They go collect the organic matter on the surface of the soil. They pull this into the ground. And when they pull this into the ground, what happens is allowing the organic matter to decompose and mix with the soil. At the same time, the food that they eat they produce a cast, earthworm cast or manure from it. The manure from an earthworm gut, it is a manure that is rich in different nutrients that are required by a plant. Any plant can grow within that environment of earthworms manure. So it is important that we do earthworm farming wherever we are. Earthworms are nature's plow. They help in plowing the soil and aerate the soil and allow the water to infiltrate in the soil. That's why you see in a agroecological farmer or permaculture farmer, you find that plants are happy because there are lots of earthworms in the soil. Like here in my garden, lots of earthworms. I'm also keeping earthworms as a separate unit for generating the fertilizer that I find in the garden. So the earthworms, they are a great element that we require in the gardens. Also, they help in controlling pests and diseases like earworm and nematodes. So without earthworms, then you might have challenges of having lots of diseases in the field. Also, earthworms clean dead stuff in the soil. Or like we mentioned about grey water system. In the grey water, you add a little bit of earthworms in there. They clean the chemicals that come with the soap or the chemicals that come with the surf that we use for washing clothes that comes from the laundry, or they clean the oil and grease that comes from the kitchen when we clean our plates. So the earthworms, they activate every bad soil into good soil. They are nature's workers. They are nature pillars to make plants and other insects, other animals to be happy. So without earthworms in the system, then your system is dead. Liquid manures or fermented animal manure. It is important that when you want to feed your plants, identify type of manure you want to use to speed up the growth of the plant. For example, we can use chicken manure, cow manure, goat manure to do liquid manure or fermented animal manure for the crops. So a drum, this drum is about 210 liters size drum, and you fill it with water for about 75%. After filling it with water for 75%, then you take a 50 kg grain bag and fill it with half full with the animal manure that is required, that you require, or that is available on your farm. Drop it into the water and close to make sure that mosquitoes cannot breed in there. Or when you close, you keep it there, keep it for about 4 days or 6 days in the water. Then it sucks out. Water goes through and remove or take out the nutrients, and then you start seeing water color changes. And after that, you take this, you use it in the garden. You can dilute 1 cup or 1 liter of this liquid manure with 3 cups of fresh water, and you mix together, then you use it to irrigate plants, crops like vegetables, spinach, cabbages, and other crops, or crops that you see they are not growing well. Then you can mix 1:5, 1 of the liquid manure and 5 of the clean water for seedlings like neonatal. This will help the plants to grow, and it will boost the soil with the quick nutrients. And this is very important for boosting your plants or boosting your soils to grow healthy plants. The size of drum, it can be determined with the size of plant you have, where you want to use liquid manure. It can be maybe 500 liters of drum or 1,000, doesn't matter. Then the size of the manure you multiply. If you multiply this one by 2 or by 10, the drum, then also the liquid manure with the amount of water, you also multiply by 10, so that you get good results out of this exercise. The liquid manure can also be done with weeds. If you have lots of weeds in the garden or plants that you are not using, you can collect all the green leaves, like I've mentioned, comfrey. Probably some do not know the comfrey. Let me show you comfrey. Sorry. So this is comfrey, and you see the leaves are like purple. I don't know colors much, but I think it's is it pink or purple? So these are the colors, and the the leaf is like hairy, and this plant, it has lots of nutrients. So if you take the leaves and put in a bag, or with the leaves of rhubarb, you can see in my garden, I grow rhubarb. This was yesterday. I harvested. This is the leaf of rhubarb, and you can see it's like a big. It's a very big leaf, and you mix it. You put it in a drum, in a sack, and then you put in a drum. It also produce water, and this water can be used for the garden. So when you are using the green matter, sometimes don't even need to add water. You can do it without water, and the water from the plants, it comes out and into the drum. And when it comes into the drum, then you dilute a little bit stronger, like for vegetables, 1:5. For seedlings, 1:6 or 7, because it's so strong. But at the same time, these biological or this organic matter or plants, they can also act as pesticides or organic or natural pesticides, because once they release their liquid into the water and use the water to spray on the plants, then pests will run away if they are in the garden. So it is important to collect number of plants, the weeds, amaranthus, blackjack, even any weed, any plant that you don't need, and put in a drum and produce liquid that you can use for spraying in your garden. We talked about mulch several times. Every time since from the beginning, I'm talking about mulch. And mulch is very important that you create a very good mulch in your garden. And a good mulch is all about organic matter that is covered in the ground. So the organic matter, it can come from different forms. It can be the grass you cut, but when you cut the grass with seeds, it is better you put them in a chicken run first. Like here, I take the grass and put in a chicken run, and you see it is mixed now with manure, chicken manure, and also there are some cut boxes, and this ratio now is carbon and nitrogen ratio mixed already. If I put water here, this will start decomposing fast because nitrogen is there and the carbon is there. This one you can also use as a mulch in your garden. Plants can grow fast and they can quickly get nutrients on the plants can quickly get nutrients from the soil, because this will decompose fast because already it's mixed the nitrogen and the carbon together. So it is grass from the chicken house, and then I use it for mulch in the garden. So there is dead mulch, and this is what we call dead mulch. But once you put water, it becomes live. Then it starts to activate. Microbes start to activate and start to provide the food that is required by the plant. And there is what we call live mulch, where you grow cover crops, like the first slide I showed you, where the soil is completely covered with a creeper, a plant like the plants like pumpkin, cowpeas, runner bean, Dolichos lab, like this bean here, you see the shape of the bean, this one. It's called Dolichos lab. It is a bean that grows perennial. And when it grows perennial, it provides you with a lot of biomass. You can see here, these are the leaves from the same plant. These are the leaves from the same plant, from the bean family. And when you have these leaves, they are providing manure to the ground. They are ground cover, and they are helping in decomposing and providing nutrients that are required in the soil. So they help in the reduce the evaporation of water, and they also help in conserving water in the soil, pushing water to stay in the soil. And also, they decompose and become good nutrients for the plants. So I will try to explain later how this the green manure cover crop helps as a mulch. But it is important to create your own mulch in the garden rather than going take mulch from somewhere. For example, you can grow lucerne, you can grow these beans, you can grow a wide variety of plants like wheat or rye, grass that you cut back and then use it as mulch. So mulch, it's not a question that you go and collect it from outside. I've seen many teachers, when they talk of promoting mulch or creating microbes, they go and collect the blanket of nature somewhere, or the cover crops, or the cover on the natural system, and bring it into the garden. It is not good to do that. It is better you create your own mulch in your own garden. All the maize stovers, all the leftovers of after harvesting, you need to keep it, no burning. Keep it for mulch in your garden, in your farm. So when you do it right, you are happy to produce healthy plants. For example, on the left here, see the size of spinach there. And on the right, see the size of pumpkin. In my garden, you can, let me just pull. As you see in my garden, this is rhubarb. You see the stem and the leaf. See how big it is. It is huge. It's because we are feeding the soil properly. And anyone can do this. And this is what we are trying to promote, that we are not just preaching things that are not happening. We are talking about things that are happening. I'm practicing it. I have students that I taught that are practicing this. And why do you fail to do a proper gardening when others can do it? And the simple is about you loving soil. If you love soil, you love nature, you can be able to produce any size of crop that you need in your farm. So when we talk about green manure cover crop, it is a crop that is it is a technology that helps to cover the soil. It is like a blanket of the soil. Let me take my herbal tea. The herbs are from the garden: ginger, artemisia, Kenza bush. It's all from my garden, so I make my own tea. So okay, let's go back to the green manure cover crops. So the green manure cover crop is a very good crop, very good technology that helps to cover the ground so that the ground can provide the microbes that are required for plants to grow. Promotes bacteria, promotes fungus to activate, and helps in the sequestration of carbon. Promotes the use of legumes. We talk of more of legumes, different kind of legumes can be used as green manure cover crops. When you are doing it, try to plant crops densely so that they provide lots of nutrients or nitrogen at a given piece of land. This provides lots of biomass to the soil and builds up topsoil depth and texture. So if you are practicing this, it is important to make sure that you plant it dense and provide a lot of biomass. It helps in the building of nutrient content in the soil. So the nutrient content is only built when you have a diverse of plants and also a thick layer of biomass, and then you have lots of nutrients that can be generated in there. Improves the water holding capacity. When you have green manure cover crop, you also have soil and to be able to hold water. So water cannot just come and go, but it can stay in the garden for a long time. Instead of watering 3 or 4 times a week, you can only water once a week. My garden here, I water once a week, but sometimes even I water after maybe 10 days because the soil is covered, the soil is rich, and it has lots of ground cover and also mulch in it. So it cannot lose the nutrients and water easily. Protects soil from wind and water erosion. When you have the ground cover, like what I showed in the first slide, the wind erosion cannot take place because the soils are protected. Yeah, it can provide nutritious human food. As I indicated with this plant here, lab, it is providing us with nutrients or food. The bean itself is coming from there. Provide bee forage. Honey, we do not have enough honey in Africa, but if you start growing these plants for helping the soil, at the same time when they start flowering, they attract bees to come and pollinate, and also the bee provide now with honey, pollen, and nectar. The bees provide now with honey, propolis, and wax that comes from the bees. And these are very expensive products that it's hard to find them in South Africa. It controls weeds, hence eliminate cost of weeding. Weeding is one of the cost elements in farming. So weeding is one of the cost elements in farming. So it is that if you are practicing this, you weed only maybe once instead of weeding 4 times per field, per crop. So the process helps in carbon sequestration, as I indicated, capturing carbon and deposit it in there. And it is a tool for climate change adaptation. Yeah, climate change, people are crying about climate change, but there are some solutions that we can do. Even the COVID, the pandemic, there are some solutions. Once you take care of the soil, then you do not have disease spreading much. And it is important to note that soil is the key element for our lives. So the green manure crop can be practiced in the sense of planting trees like the Gliricidia. This is in Malawi, where farmers are planting Gliricidia, pigeon pea moringa. And after growing crops, they cut down the maize stovers, put on the ground. The leaves of the Gliricidia and these plants are left on the ground and they are pruned to improve the soil. And this helps, once the soil is helped in this way, at the end of the day, the crops in this next season, they can grow healthy and happy because the soil is being fed and supported. So this is an example of a success story of a research that was done where farmers and the researchers, they look at the use of green manure covering crops where they mix with maize. For example, in this row, we have maize and fertilizer, growing maize with fertilizer. And in this one, it's maize and farrow system with fertilizer. Soya, maize, and fertilizer. Groundnuts with maize and fertilizer. This one, groundnuts and pigeon pea without fertilizer. And no, this one, okay, this is an example of showing that this line, sorry, I didn't. This shows that with fertilizer, without fertilizer, with fertilizer, the production used to end here, and with this mixture that we are talking about. But with adding a lot of mixture, okay, let me put this way. The line itself, it shows that when you are growing maize uh, in this level, at this level, it's without fertilizer, and with fertilizer and mix the crops, and with mixed crops, it grows more than what we see here. So it is an example that using green manure cover crop, you can see this section on its own. Pigeon pea and groundnuts, they are indicating that the soil is improved, and the soil is able to produce more crops than whatever other methods that are used. So what we are saying here is that the technology we are talking about, it's not only with me here, but we have taught a number of farmers, and these farmers are able to teach others. And this is Joel Mahlangu, who is in Limpopo. You can see his garden. It's always green like this. And he planted it in a way that it's always green. It's always having the right food, always producing what he needs. After training him, he started training other people. So he has over 120 followers in Limpopo. And it's not only him. Him is in Skukunland, but there are others in Capricorn, others in Vembe, who have good demonstrations, setting a good hub in their own community where people can learn from what they are practicing. Every happy plant you see, it is because the soil has been worked on. So if you work on the soil, you feed your soil with organic matter, then it can be appropriate to grow the health plants you require. So soil is the key for everything, for farming. So let's focus on building up healthy soil so that we have happy plants and happy people, animals, and helps the sequestration of carbon, helps in the climate change challenges, helps in the pandemic challenges. So soil is the key. Thank you.